Hi, my name is Renaud Gignac from Concordia University in Montreal, and I'm here to present you the paper Allocating a 2 degrees Celsius Carbon Budget to Countries. The paper is co-authored with Professor Damon Matthews, also from Concordia University. In December 2015, representatives from around the world will convene in Paris to discuss how to limit global temperature change to less than 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial temperatures. However, the question of how much effort each country should put in is often the subject of conflicts and disagreements. In this paper, we propose a straightforward and equitable burden-sharing framework that we hope could help negotiators and policymakers reach an agreement. In its most recent assessment report, the IPCC has shown that to ensure that we have a likely chance of staying below 2 degrees Celsius of warming, global emissions must remain below 1,000 gigatons of CO2 from now on. This 1,000 gigatons is our global carbon budget. Now, to allocate this budget between countries, we use a well-known framework called contraction and convergence. How does this work? First, we know that per capita emissions, that is, countries' emissions compared to their population, present great variation. For example, in 2013, the average American or Canadian emitted around 15 tons of CO2 per year, whereas the average Indian or Brazilian emitted less than 3 tons per year. At some point in time, say in the year 2035, every country should aim at an equal level of per capita emissions. In order to respect the global carbon budget, this level is set at 2.5 tons of CO2 per capita in 2035. This is the convergence point. After 2035, countries' per capita emissions remain equal, and emissions continue to decrease to zero net carbon emissions shortly after 2065. This can be translated into national carbon budgets. For instance, out of the 1,000 gigatons of CO2, which is the global budget, the United States receives a carbon allowance of 78 gigatons of CO2, while India receives 133 gigatons. Now, given current emissions, this implies that most developed nations should decrease their emissions by up to 70% by 2030 compared to 1990, while India and Africa, for instance, would be allowed to increase their emissions more than twofold. Also, as countries have started to fill in their national pledges for Paris, this also shows that the current national pledges are actually not in line with national carbon budgets. Finally, we propose to introduce the concept of carbon debts and credits. In fact, countries that emit more than their national carbon budgets accumulate a debt towards low-emitting countries. And then, if we put a price on carbon, say in terms of US dollars per ton, for example, then we can determine quite precisely how much high-emitting countries should contribute to mechanisms such as the UN Green Climate Fund. These funds can then be used by low-emitting countries to support costs of adaptation or mitigation policies, which would bring us closer to climate justice. Thank you for your time.